Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So it looks like the shop is back in business. I got a couple of radios piled up sent to me. I got a couple right there. Got this one. My God, they're starting to pile up. I have been extremely busy over the past couple of weeks, both with work and just family trips and things like that. So I've had my hands tied. I'll admit, if your radio is on my bench, I am sorry. I'll get to you as soon as I can. So radio number one, we're going to do this one first, because it just has to be done. This is a Panasonic from a 1990, probably 91 or a 92. It'd be a 91, February 91. That would be a 1991 production year. Miata. I don't know what the specifics are. I think he sent me what it was. It could be a BRG, but either way, it's got the standard Panasonic. Now, what's interesting is, I mentioned this before, and this is the second one I've seen so far. Hold on a second. Anyway, so this radio, I believe we're doing a Bluetooth mod, and we're going to probably fix the cassette deck. I already know it needs cassette deck repairs. Pretty obvious. Here's the problem. This one is locked out, and the code is written on the unit, and I can't read it because in shipping, something rubbed against it. I can't read that. But it's okay. We have the procedures to unlock it, and we're going to go over that right now. So, number one, we need to get power to it. So, let's do that. Okay. All right. Now it's flashing code because we need to put in the code. We have to try the code, I believe, 3 times. I'm going to read the procedure. When code flashes in the radio's display after battery power is restored and you know your anti-theft user code, the radio's operation may be restored by following your owner's manual, blah, 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 blah. If you don't know your anti-theft user code, excuse me, or to remove one previously set, follow the same procedure 3 times, entering an invalid 1 to 4 digit user code each time. Once an invalid 1 to 4 digit user code is entered 3 times, error flashes in the radio's display. So that's the key part. We need to get it to fail. When flashing error displays, the radio is now set to accept the following reset procedure. Now, we got to get it to do that. And last I tried, I didn't have any luck. So let's try 8850. Actually, I don't want to unlock it. I want the code gone because we're going to be turning this sucker on and off as many times as we possibly can. So, 1111 1111 2222 2222 2222. All right, I gotta look at the procedure for entering the code because I'm clearly doing it wrong. Hold on. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold down rewind and fast forward, and then it should show us a couple of dashes. So rewind, fast forward. There we go. 111. Oh yeah. This is how it looks. Can you see that? Take a look at that. And then I think after we do that, all right, so now that we've put in the code, we hold down rewind, fast forward. All right, let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Error. Okay, do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Error. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it should lock out. And it, yeah, we're locked out. Now we're locked out. So press the number 1 button, press stop eject. Press AM, FM. It doesn't say hold, so let's press 1, stop eject. Press AM, FM. Press clock button. Okay. This dash thing appears. Enter code 4989. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 8, 9. 4989. Press fast forward reverse. Hey, no more code. Now, for those of you who are, going to get angry with me because I just showed the world how to unlock your 1991 Miata's radio, do understand this is public information. This is listed at Miata.net. They have an entire FAQ section, and this procedure is in there. The thing is, far more people will forget the code or lose the code and end up throwing the radio away unnecessarily over that one little thing. So I just want to make sure that, let's shut the power off. We'll turn on. I just want to make sure that you all understand that this is not anything that you can't figure out on your own. But the information's out there, and I just made it so that you all now know what we're doing. Now we got to test the CD player in this one. He did want that to work, I believe. The code flashing, it's not going to work for us. Spins. No, spits it right out. So we're dealing with a CD player that probably needs caps. Now I have a board I already recapped that I should be able to just stuff right in there. So we're going to give that a try. Oh, also, the cassette deck is highly questionable. Let's see if that works. And oh, it's drawing it in.
You are here for the hair, Senora. You had the appointment? No, Senora, just
Vesta Mainwaring lived in a house that had been converted to
it's only coming from one speaker.
She parked in a little lot behind the house and let herself
Make sure that we don't have a loose connection here on our harness.
Upstairs. It always coasted to a stop. I parked around the corner and walked back. The car was still there with its lights on. I got in the passenger side.
We have a ground issue.
He sprang the gun from its underarm clip with an economy that would have impressed Hickok.
All right.
But I showed him my Smith & Wesson while he was.
All right. Let's try. I think maybe the balance is off.
You should lock your doors this time of night.
No.
Who the hell are you? It was a light voice for so much man. In the globe.
Now, that could be a fault with the cassette deck. Let's try the tuner. Okay. We know that the cassette deck works. I'm going to take a look at that while we're in there. But the tuner does not work. Oh, there we go. Keep forgetting these. You got to press volume, turn them on. This radio's got other issues.
The fourth year in a row with frozen tuition. The community college
I have very poor volume.
7 schools throughout the state where students go for programs ranging from medical care to automotive technology. Some students begin their coursework.
Yeah, we have very poor. There's some issues with this radio specifically.
This year, in-state tuition will be at $215.
Now, what I recall from the last couple of these that I've worked on is there were a lot of broken solder joints. I believe that is the issue here. In fact, I'm pretty confident that that's going to be our main problem. So, okay, yeah, look at this. This cover is not properly locked in place. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay. I'll set that aside for now. Let's deal with the root issues with this unit, which are, again, more than likely broken solder joints. Okay. Let's crack it open. Okay. Let's see, I'll use this bin right here. Now, the radio that I received in the video entitled "How Not to Pack Your Radios," or something to do with shipping and packaging and stuff. That radio is a total loss. We are going to use it for parts. The owner of that radio has sent me a replacement unit. He actually had two, and he's learned his lesson. Those actually showed up a little while ago, so we'll be able to take a look at those in a little bit. Okay, looks like this thing looks pretty good. There's no visible corrosion anywhere. I like to see this. This is good. No visible corrosion. Nothing exotically bad here. The last Panasonic I had shipped to me was water damaged, pretty badly, in fact. It was trash. But I was able to get it running again, and he was happy with the results. We put a Bluetooth module in that one, and again, all's well. But we got to check this guy with a little bit of water. Yeah, a little bit of water got in there. Doesn't look terrible. Let's take the amp board off. Get a good look in there. So we cleared up a few issues already with the code. Something that I would expect with one of these. Now we know how to reset them, and now you do too. Okay, so let's get this off. Check for any broken solder joints. Oh shit! Somebody's messed with this one. I gotta look through the notes. I think this radio was played with by a gentleman who has passed away. Not John Anderson. What was his name? I forget his first name. I think this is one that he modified. This is the radio I think it is. It has some signs that, look at this resistor right here. I don't know what this is for. I don't know what it does, but this has been a part. It's been modified. I'll have to look at that. Now, because it was modified, it changes things a little bit. But this solder joint right here looks like it might be a little weak. I'm looking at visual rings around the component's stem. And when I see that, it's a sign that it might be compromised. Might not be. But we have some issues here. Okay. That looks alright. I don't see any obviously broken joints on this one. But I've had two of these in my shop so far, and both of them had the problem of broken joints. So that's why I'm kind of going there first before I start digging. Some of these caps look like they might be new too. When someone else has had their hands in something like this, and that person's not around to talk to, it changes a few things. Like, I don't know what or why anything was done. I'm sure it worked when it left his shop. The hell was his name? I keep forgetting his name. It's not. I keep confusing, like John Anderson, the lead vocalist for Yes. That's who I keep mixing him up with. Although I'm pretty sure he was not in a British prog rock band, and then decided to retire and work on radios. Hey, some people, some legends do things like that. I'm pretty sure that wasn't his deal. Let's take the faceplate off. Put the knobs in the little bin there. I get asked a lot if I do auxiliary jacks. Again, I want to talk about that for a minute. I just got this just this morning. I got an email. Do you do aux jacks, or how do you do aux jacks? Like, that was his question. Like, assuming that that's what I do. The answer is no. Just, I don't do them. It's not a service I ever intend to offer. Not because I'm racist against auxiliary jacks, but I just don't believe they give you the value that integrated Bluetooth will give you. Integrated Bluetooth will connect. See, then here's the thing. You know, if I was doing this, 5 years, 10 years ago, I'd be like all over the aux jacks. Because 10 years ago, every phone had an auxiliary output jack. We had iPods. We had MP3 players. 15 years ago, we had MP3 players that people were, you know, putting in their cars, and that's where the aux jack mod comes from. That's what it's good for. But here we are in 2022, and we're finding that most phones currently do not have the ability to connect an auxiliary jack. If you do, it's through a series of adapters. For example, the iPhone. Bluetooth, however, is industry standard and will be for some time. Even though it changes every few generations, it is still the gold standard. This is supposed to lift right out. There we go. Never force anything. Okay. Don't force anything. The fact that we are missing, we have audio coming from one channel on both the tuner and the cassette deck. I don't like that. This cassette deck has clearly been lubricated. It looks like there's a lot more lube than I'm usually used to seeing on these. Put that aside for now. I'm pretty convinced that there's been some tomfoolery going on with this guy. Good or bad, I don't know. We're going to find out in a minute. But yeah, somebody's had their paws in this thing. Let's loosen up the, where's my pliers? I actually took a day out of work to do this because I feel bad. This guy's been waiting a while. I've been busy, and again, just everything. So let me talk about that for a minute. I had a family event that we attended over the weekend, and my cousin just got married, and I have another cousin, his sister actually, who lives in California, and she and her family, her dad, her husband, and her son were flying out here, you know, to New Hampshire, and I had to kind of play host, so I had to get the house cleaned up. We spent like a week cleaning and fixing this house, just various things that needed to be done so that the house looks as good as it can. You know, you don't want to host your family when there's paint peeling and all this other stuff that has to be done. It's like I don't want to give the impression that we don't take care of our home. Anyway, so I've been spending a lot of time just getting stuff ready for them, you know, making sure that we have enough bedding, because they had to sleep here for 2 nights. And I had to rent an RV. We had to drive up to Vermont. It was a whole big thing, and I've been so busy with that, and I am so sorry. Okay, this is where I kind of half expect to find broken joints on this board right here, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm not going to proceed with this radio until I can get good clean audio from the tuner. You know, once we have that all, this is bent. Okay, that's just yeah, never mind, it's not really bent. Let's take a look inside here. This comes off. All right, let's get a good look at this right on here. Looking at these connectors, this is where usually, I think I see one that is actually broken. Yeah, I think so. We're gonna reflow these. Let's get the soldering iron warmed up. We're going to reflow those. Now let's look at the bottom of the tuner board and the amplifier board. The amplifier board's in the back. So we're going to do some reflowing there. Are these caps replaced? So my theory on why these have such broken soldering joints in them is, what the hell did he... I'm going to have to Google or look this guy up and see. So here's the thing, I don't know the story behind this shit right here, why it was done, and it's actually quite important to know why it was done. I may end up sending this one back, which sometimes happens. I need to talk to this guy. I want to find out, number one, what was done, why it was done, who did it. I don't care who did it. Yeah, here's another one. This is a jumper wire. Oh, that's factory. That's a factory jumper. All right, let's get this apart. Yeah, it's good to know the whys and hows, because it changes what I have to do and what I have to bill for. Like unexpected things. I mean, I am willing to, you know, just totally do a few extra repairs if they're needed, just to get the job done. Like that other radio that I had, where I had to basically resolder every freaking connection in the entire radio, because it was so bad. I don't want to make that a regular thing, because that's technically billable work. But I also want to be a nice guy, and I want to take care of my customers. So let's see what we can do to make this guy happy, huh? Let's see what we can do. I believe this comes out as one unit. We have to pull that in there. Take this screw out here. It's going to kind of give the whole radio a little once over. And it comes out like that. There we go. We got the whole thing out of the chassis. All right. Now I know we have a tab that needs to be desoldered. This has to be moved. So our weekend was uneventful. I mean, nothing bad happened. I lost the gas cap to a $140,000 camper that I rented, which was fortunately just a $26 gas cap from AutoZone. That would have sucked if it was some exotic thing, but thankfully they built that $140,000 motorhome on a yeah, it was not a tow behind, it was a motorhome. They built it on a Ford E450 chassis, so thankfully I could just go to the auto parts store, pick one up on a Sunday in the middle of nowhere. And so we were actually on the border of Canada. In fact, one of the roads that we had to travel on literally was the Canadian border, which was exciting. I'd never been to Canada and still haven't, but if I had my passport, we would have taken a little day trip, I think, just to see what Canada's all about. But we were right there on the Quebec border, northern Vermont. That was kind of fun. Alright, so I'm going to desolder this wire here. First of all, I got to look at who this radio belongs to. Hold on. I'm going to dig up some emails and see. And also mark this one down. This belongs to a guy named Guy. Came from Millington, Tennessee. Okay, I'm going to just write Guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. I'm right, Guy Z. We'll mark off all the parts so that nothing gets mixed up. Well, Guy, buddy, we took care of your little code problem. Yeah, the code was smudged. I could not read it. So fortunately, there is a procedure for dealing with that, and I thank the engineers at Pioneer for doing that. See, little fun fact about that little trick there. If you brought this to the dealer back in the 90s, oh, come on now, desolder, you bastard. If you had brought this to the Mazda dealer, they would either charge you, you know, an hour's worth of labor to do that procedure, okay, or they would send you packing. They'd say, I'm sorry, but we sell these radios for $500. Would you like to buy a new one? No, really, that's what they did, from what I've read. And to this day, if you go to a Mazda dealer and you say, I'm sorry, they say, I can't get into my radio, they will happily tell you to go F off, even though they have that procedure in their notes. If you're lucky, the dealer will do the procedure and charge you an hour's labor. But here's the thing, once you pay for that labor, let's say the radio, you're not really sure what its condition is, there's a good chance that you're going to have a radio that you just paid to unlock that doesn't work. Car stereo thefts were, I think they still are a big problem in some areas, but they're not really going after OEM radios, they're going after aftermarket radios. They don't want your, this radio has no value to a car thief. For the most part. I mean, it's worth more to you than it is to them, you know, even though they're starting to kind of go up in value for working examples. So anyway, just my little rant for the day. Okay, so we'll keep this apart. Let's take a look at this one and see if we see any obvious brokenness. We want to look around the connectors because these are more prone to flex, and we want to make sure that there's nothing broken around those. I'm also curious to see any modifications that I was not previously privy to. But one of the things I tell my customers before they send me the radio, tell me what's wrong with it, and then we'll talk pricing. Does the tuner work? Number one. That's critical. I need to know that. Because if it doesn't work, that means it needs more repairs. What I'm looking for in a radio, what I expect is I want functioning control knobs, left, right balance, stuff like that. Because Panasonic would have used a lot of the same parts between the two radios. So I see a solder bridge right here. That doesn't look factory. I don't know why that's there. Why is that bridged? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That is a concern. This right here, this looks like a blob of solder that doesn't belong there. Could be part of the mod, could be something else entirely. Not sure I'm liking that. Here we go. Broken. These are clear brakes. These are, I don't know if I can get this on camera, but these are clear brakes right here and here. And those interface with the audio control board, if I'm not mistaken. That would explain why we don't have audio left and right. So that should resolve that problem pretty easily. Is that in all the way? Where's my, hold on a second, I'll be right back. Okay, I reached out to the owner, explained what I found. All right, so we got the radio partially reassembled. Now, a couple of things I talked about in another video is that we need to make sure that CD player is connected. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to double check on this, but I do believe that the ground has to be connected too. Alright, so this DIN connector has got to be in. Otherwise, you need a DIN, there's a plug. Now, if your car was shipped from the factory without a CD player, you will have a plug back here, okay? That has to be inserted. And the reason for that is the Pioneer stereos, the CD player kind of works a little bit like my Bluetooth mods work, okay? Where it actually intercepts the audio. So the audio goes from the preamp through the CD player and back out again. When the CD player is engaged, the preamp switches from the tuner inside there, the receiver if you will, to the CD player as the only audio source. And we have to figure out a way to make that work with our Bluetooth module, and I'll work on that in a minute. But let's get power to this. Oh, we need the ground wire. I might have to put a jumper wire on this one because we are routing audio. I believe that we need a good ground from the CD player to the chassis of the receiver for that to all work. Here we go. All right. We're more or less back to where we started. Let's turn it on. Same problem. And this is grounded pretty good too. Everything's centered. Yeah, there's a problem with this unit. I'm gonna have to put this one on hold. I don't know if I can fix this one. Not with what I'm charging. Alright, I'm getting sound from both speakers. We do have a problem, and it could be related to those modifications. I don't know. That wasn't part of the original bill, so I don't know what I want to do with this. Tuner works, but I'm not sure I want to go any further with this one. Yeah, you just can't see the display because obviously. But the funny thing is, the beeping sound seems to be full volume. Yeah, there's a problem with this guy. So now we're, from my perspective, we're beyond the scope of what I was hired to do. Now we're doing advanced diagnostics and recapping, maybe even recapping the amplifier. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know the background, the full background of this one. But if I'm going any further, he's going to have to be billed for that, and I don't want to make that decision for him. So I'm gonna let him know that I did try to solve the issue, but I'm not comfortable moving forward without further diagnostics and troubleshooting, which is going to take some time that I really don't have right now. What is my cat doing? Look at him. Look at him. What are you doing to my bike? Trying to fix my bike? What are you doing, buddy? He's chewing. Explains why my helmet strap is getting ruined. Okay, buddy. A couple of other things I noticed. So we already established that there is a problem here, right? But here's my situation. The front to back control knob, the fader, does not work. Doesn't do anything. When I fade it all the way to the front or to the back to the rear headrest, it I think I figured out what the mod was. I believe what he did was he modified it so that the headrest speakers are wired to the, just a theory here, that are wired to the main audio out for the front speakers. That's all I can think of, that somehow that's what was done. So he bridged them together somehow. I, again, don't know how he did that. I don't have a schematic. Can't find one. But this knob does nothing. Left and right works. At least it was. Pull for bass treble, push for balance. Another thing is, pushing for the light control should be doing something, and it's not. Okay? I'm going to try something. So watch this. When I unplug the CD player, I should lose all audio. And exactly. Let's take the CD player apart real quick. I'm going to try something here. It's worth a shot. I haven't heard back from the gentleman who owns it yet, but I anticipate he won't be happy. I've got another one of these boards that I've already worked on, and I want to see if maybe, just maybe, somehow this mechanism is causing all these problems, or I don't know. I just want to try something. Take a CD player out. Look inside here. Take this all apart. Yeah. If I can't fix it, I'll just send it back. He'll have to pay the return shipping, and that'll be it. That's what I'm going to do if I can't get any further with this guy, with this radio. Can't save them all, but I've particularly found some challenges with these Pioneer or Panasonics that I wasn't really expecting. Gotta take that out too. When you take the CD player apart, there's a plastic grommet or a cap. Okay, that's part of the it's a rivet that holds that. There's a power transistor right there that holds it to the chassis for heat dissipation purposes. So why is this not behaving? There we go. Almost out of there. There we go. Take a look here. I'm gonna just unplug this ribbon cable gently. Okay, unplug this guy here. Gently. Unplug this right here. Now the board that I typically recap is this one right here. And doing a quick cursory glance, I don't see any leakage. A little bit right there, I think. But that's the board that we're going to swap. What I can probably do is do a full Alright, so here's our zinc, here's our battery. And I think I figured out what this battery is actually for. Now, what this battery does is it keeps the CD player memory alive so that when you, we should probably take this off. It looks like it's starting to burst a little bit. It's a rechargeable battery, and what it does is it keeps the CD player memory active so that when you shut the car off or disconnect the battery, it keeps, it remembers what track you were on. These caps don't have any burst domes. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Kind of that smoking gun, you know. I don't see what I'm looking for here. How about, let's take another look at that amplifier board and see what's happening on that. We're going to do a full disassembly on that, and we're going to take a look at the capacitors on the amplifier board. Put this aside for now. This could very well be a good mechanism. We don't want to ruin that. It doesn't sound healthy to me, but we're going to pretend that it's fine and move along our day here. What I want to do is look at the amplifier board again and take a look at the other sides. We're going to take the amplifier apart. Looks like all the functions are basically working. So I think the issue is, if there's an issue at all, it'll be found right in here. Again, this makes me very uncomfortable. I don't know why this resistor's here. What's the purpose? Why is this jumper here? So what are we going to do for that? Well, we need to find out what pin it's on. Okay, what pin, and then we'll know what it's for. I actually have a diagram here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I have the actual pinout, and we can see which one that is on. So I've identified them by number, what they do, what color wire they're connected to, and it looks like it's, let's see, so on the top row there's 4 pins. So pin 1, 1, 2, so counting from this direction, pin 1, 2, 3, 4, the next row should be 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 5, 6, pin 7, power supply accessory. Why is that jumped to here? I don't know what these pinouts are, but there's a reason why that was done, and that is a mystery to me. Why was that done? So again, not only that, but there's a bridged pin right here. See, whoever did this, that could be flux. Okay, it could be flux. I think what I'm going to do is take a photo of this, and we're going to just take all this off. But let's get a good look at that board before we do anything drastic. And find my Phillips screwdriver. Hold on. All right, I'm going to definitely undo some of what was done. All right, that actually just goes to the connector. That doesn't come off. But this does. I took that screw off. Should have left that there. Okay. That one is stripped. Don't you just love it when you come across stuff like this? That's not part of the original reason for it being here. And see, my theory is that this radio was not even installed in the car. Here's what I think happened. Okay, I imagine that this radio actually came, like, the guy bought the car, right? Either he bought this radio on eBay, and it was stated that it was a working radio that somebody tried to fix and failed and decided to pawn it off as a working radio. Or it came with somebody tried to fix it years ago, took it out of the car, fixed it, quote unquote fixed it, then decided that it didn't work so they left it out. And I don't know. I don't know the backstory. We can only speculate. And speculation doesn't help anybody. We have a hypothesis. That's all we have. We don't have facts. We have a hypothesis. Okay. And, oh, yeah, there's two of those. There we go. So one of these transistors, I believe, actually, I think on the Panasonics, I believe they're both audio transistors. They're just a transistor pack. All right, and there's two of them. There's one here and there's one down here. And one of them I think is definitely audio. The other one might be just for power. But I haven't checked any voltage points yet. I don't think our issue is lack of power. I think it's some tomfuckery going on with this unit. All right, let's see what we got going on here. No smoking guns. Nothing incredibly obvious. These are definitely our power transistors. One or both of these are for audio. Alright. I'm gonna unpimp the auto, so to speak. Remember that Volkswagen commercial? We're gonna just go ahead and we're going to make an executive decision to undo those mods. Now, I see a ripped pad on this connector. On the other side, there are no tracers going anywhere. So, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Okay. Sorry, I'm just having a nervous breakdown. Why did you do that? No, not okay. Not good. Oh, man. Somebody offered to send me a radio that was modified by, it was Jeff Anderson, that's his name, Jeff Anderson. I keep confusing him with, like I said, John Anderson, or even Bob Anderson of Philco Predictor Restoration fame. That guy's a pretty cool guy. Bob Anderson, if you got a Philco Predictor, he's your guy. He's your guy. He can make them work again. Jeff Anderson, on the other hand, was the go-to guy for Panasonic Mazda stereos. And lastly, John Anderson is the guy from Yes. Okay, I think I got our Andersons straightened out. And none of them make windows, by the way. I'm sad to report. None of them make windows. You get that joke. You must be a homeowner. Okay, you don't want to over tighten those. You don't want to crush anything. What did I just do? One of these is a coarse threaded one. That goes there. That goes there. Let's just clean up some of the bullshit. Make sure we got all the screws in. It's important, by the way, to have these screws in here because especially these and these, even for testing, because you can quickly overheat and burn up your transistors. These are cooled for a reason. They get warm, really warm. Okay, I'm gonna get a picture of this. Finally reached out to the owner of this radio and he says that it worked fine when it left. Okay, so what have we determined? It's possible that the balance control or the fader control has been somehow blocked. Why they tapped off that 12 volt rail. I wish I had the schematics for what Bob Anderson, what Jeff Anderson was doing with his mods. This could have been one that somebody tried on their own. I'm going to take the customer's word for it that he did not have any issues with this radio when it left, and that it may have been damaged in shipping. He also said that the lights worked on the whole faceplate, which they do not. They do not work. What I want to do next is I want to test out my own CD player mech and see if that works any better than his. If so, we'll swap a roux. And then I'll just rebuild this one and put it in the next unit. Let's do that. All right, here we go. Make sure we watch our amperage. Okay. Reason I do that is if I see that needle spike, immediately goes off. Because that can be a dangerous situation for the radio and also me. Okay. Turn it on. Okay, I hear static. Okay, good. Oh, it's on AM, isn't it? There we go. That's better static, FM. I like FM static. Go up in a CD. This is one I already recapped, but it didn't work when I installed it in the customer's radio. He had bigger problems. It's not reading the disc. Shouldn't be doing that. Could be a bad disc too. That disc did get some damage, but it shouldn't be doing that. All right, let's try another disc. Okay, yeah, maybe this one's damaged. Let's just give it another shot. Immediately rejects it. Same problem. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. All right, let me try something else. So I'm going to take another look for broken solder joints. I just had a quick conversation with the owner. He is unaware of any modifications. And yeah, it is his radio. I mean, at first he's like, is that my radio? I'm like, well, yes it is. Yours is the one that came in the box with your name on it, correct? Just checking. Look, this is the risk of doing this kind of work where something could be damaged in shipment and it may not be obvious, at first, and then I start digging in and like, wait a minute, this isn't right, and then, oh my god, there's a modification that wasn't part of the customer didn't know about it. So I don't know, and I'm not really willing to dive any further at this point. I think the guy's getting angry with me, like, you screwed up my radio. But this is why I film these things, because I can say, look, you saw me take it apart, you saw what I did. It's nothing I did. It came like this. My bad. My apologies or whatever. I'm going to put his CD player back in. Mine, I don't know what's going on with mine. I suspect this CD player deck or mechanism had other issues that I did not actually finish troubleshooting. And the original owner of this one, I actually bought this from him after I shipped it back, or before I shipped it back. He didn't want the CD player at all. All right, just got another message from the owner of this radio. He was remarkably understanding. Yeah, I'm glad. He did pull it out a few years ago. That's got me thinking, maybe a wholesale recap job might fix it. And that's a big might. That is, we recap the amplifier. They can go bad from sitting. And that may be all it needs. As far as the modifications go, so a couple of things have transpired. So we tried fixing the CD player that, well, I used one that I had already repaired, quote unquote. It didn't work. So I just talked to the owner of the radio, and he says it worked when he pulled it a couple years ago. He's the third owner of the car, so nothing was ever disclosed to him about modifications, which is highly likely, and hey, these things happen. I've been thinking it over, and because it worked a couple years ago and now it doesn't, and there's no obvious damage, it's possible that the electrolytic caps have failed on their own accord. So the next thing I can suggest is I document every cap in the unit, find out what it's going to cost me to buy them, and I just come up with a quote for a recap for the amplifier, at least, and the CD player as well. And we'll charge him extra. We'll charge him. He's already paying for the CD player caps. I don't know, man. So I just jumped out the whole connector. See if we get any different results. Nope. Nope. The thing is, I'd have to charge him whether it fixes it or not, in order for me to be able to do this on a regular basis. You'd be paying for. It actually does sound a little bit.
I wake up thinking about shaving. When I started Harry's almost a decade ago, the shaving industry was a mess.
Well, that's actually one step forward. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna undo the mods, and I'm making that decision now. We're gonna undo those mods. It looks like the most of the volume situation actually is in the CD player mechanism itself. It sounds to me like there is a problem with the possibly we may have some bad capacitors there, which again, that's possible. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the owner and say, listen, here's what I want to do. We want to recap the entire amplifier in addition to the CD player. The tuner works great. The cassette deck works surprisingly well. I don't think I have to do anything with that. In fact, I'm going to run a test tape in a few minutes. But I think we're getting somewhere. By jumping out this connector, I'm getting audio. It's so what these radios do is they send the audio from the receiver, like I mentioned earlier. From the receiver, it goes to the and the receiver takes in the audio from the cassette deck as well. It then reroutes the audio through the CD player and then out. So there is actually no logic connection at all between the tuner and the CD player. It's kind of like an accessory. Interesting how they did that back in the day. And I think I figured out why the balance doesn't work. I believe it was strapped out with a solder ball. We found that earlier on. I'm taking this resistor out. I don't know what it's for. I'm pulling it. Done deal. I already got a few pictures of what it looks like, but we're actually making some progress. So I'm going to just take this resistor off. Don't know what it was there for in the first place. Okay. I'm going to take this jumper wire off. Don't know what it's for, but I have it documented so I know where it goes. Okay, so those mods are undone. I didn't see any cut tracers, which is usually the sign of another. Okay, I see what happened here. They tore this pad off. So we're going to go ahead and repair that with some jumper wire. Oh, my cats got into this, by the way, and they just made a friggin' mess of it. I got to rewind it. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He looks at me. Let's rewind this. Yeah, so you're not supposed to do what they did, but they did what they did, and that's fine. I'm just going to have to throw away all this perfectly good wire, but I'll use it for this project. Oh my God. Why do my kitties do what they do? I'm so good to them, you know? I'm so good to those kitties, and they go and do something like this. Just put that like that. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. Just kind of had to get my head out of the trash, so to speak. We're gonna fix what was broken. So let's do that. All right. So we want to go from here. Let's get some solder on that. All right. Yeah, you can see where they tore the pad off and then jumpered it. To that point right there. Why, the world may never know. Okay. That's a good connection there. And then it goes over to this pin over here. And we clip it. Make sure that's exactly what needs to be done. Alright, now we got to go on our wild goose chase to find the other one we found. I'm going to have to take the radio back apart. We're going to put these aside. We still don't know why they did what they did, and we may never know. But at least the doctor's in the house, and we're going to figure this shit out. So we found that, I believe it was on this auxiliary board here. Let's take this faceplate back off. Spoon. Okay. This out. Screw back in there. Usually get them with these screws removed, so there we are. Is it this one? No. I think I have to go deeper. I have to, yeah, because it was way down in there that I found that little ball of solder. Okay. We can do this. We got this. We got this. Well, here's where we're at. I unmodified the radio. And I'm still not getting what I need out of this thing. We have one channel is not nearly, it's about half the volume as the other one. I don't know if a recap is going to fix this, and I don't want to waste the customer's money by charging them for a recap that may or may not fix the problem. None of the caps are obviously blown or leaking. Those are the things I look for. Wholesale recapping of a vintage radio like this isn't entirely necessary. we would have to pull each one and test them with an ESR meter, test them for capacitance, and it's like, at that point, you know, you might as well replace them. But we don't know if that's the issue. And the reason, what changes the whole thing, okay, is that this radio has been tinkered with. We don't know what was tinkered with or how. We don't know if those little modifications damaged the radio further. We also know that it was clearly mishandled in shipping. It was likely, and I'm going to say it was poor packing. Because when I unboxed it, the CD player was loosely laid on top of the unit, and it was swimming in packing material. In fact, I think he used, did use bubble wrap and air pockets. But the bubble wrap wasn't tightly wrapped around the radio. I do about 3 or 4 wraps one way and 3 or 4 wraps the other way. And they don't get damaged. At this point, I have decided to throw in the towel on this one and call it a parts unit. Because of the unknown damage that we now have to chase down, and I really don't have time for that. I've given the customer 2 options. One of them is I can send it back for the cost of shipping. I'm not going to charge for my bench time. Or I can purchase the radio, and I have a price that I sent him that I think is fair, given the condition of the radio and the unknown status of a lot of these components. That's really where I'm at with this radio. It's just not prudent for me to continue any further with it. And again, I have 3 radios stacked up behind me, and I've got one on its way, potentially. All of them are the MSSS stereos, which I am pretty good at. So I think I did what I can do. I think that's fair. And I'm not giving the guy, I'm not throwing it at him and saying, here, you deal with it. I'm saying, look, here's what I can offer. You know, I can either purchase the radio for parts, or you can just pay me shipping and just take it back. This radio is a gold mine in parts. I mean, it has a good faceplate. The screens are in good working condition. You know, it has a good cassette deck. The cassette deck in this one actually works, which is pretty cool. Most of them I have to tear apart, and this would require a full service and a belt should I ever reuse the deck. CD player, again, you know, it's dead, but they're all dead. So, and I think a recap on the CD player will bring it back to life. There is something going on with the CD player board. It is definitely losing audio somehow. Don't know why. Don't know if it's caps or something else. But this radio has sadly met its maker at this point. Is it still fixable? Absolutely. With schematics and proper test points, I could potentially make it work again. But for the purposes of this job, no, we're not going to move any further with it. So with this, actually, if I do end up purchasing this radio, this will be my test bed. I will probably put some money into it, and I'm going to try to integrate Bluetooth. I've never done a Bluetooth integration with a working CD player, and I'd like to get that CD player to work again. Of course, that'll be at my expense. And kind of use it as a test bed for a few things. So, well, that's all we got for you today. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow I got a couple of these I got to work on. And there you go. Oh yeah, it's got a full set of control knobs, which is kind of cool. And yeah. Onward and upward. Thanks for watching.